Well, hi there. This is another video. And let's see what I'm doing today is I'm kind of revisiting a theme I had running through a video from yesterday that just got interrupted. It wasn't a very good video anyway. Um, so I'm going to use this video to kind of revisit those subjects and kind of I keep trying to get the ball rolling. We got to move the ball. We got to put points on the board, damn it. Right? Yay, okay. I'm kind of doing this slowly. I've now understood that my channel, Dave's channel, oh, Dave's tape. Where's Dave's tape? Dave has tape that he uses for the videos. Here we are. Anyway, this is a slow motion endeavor because what we're doing now is we're dealing with the inevitable. And what we're dealing with is we're dealing with a language crisis, which I believe to be global. And I'm going to put little things on this piece of paper in just a second as soon as I get it made the way I like it. These pieces are starting to pile up, and I may do a video just to show these pieces eventually, because they're all kind of goofy. They're kind of interesting. So, what we do with these is we put a line here, a line here. It would be very nice if the aspect ratio for these was close to a phone, but I think they're too tall. No matter. This is now kind of like this long, slow evolution, like I said, to the inevitable. And what I mean by the inevitable is what we're dealing with now is we're dealing with incoherent community. Okay, globally, we have an incoherent community. And the reason that we have a global community that actually does exist now, you could say Google has helped, Google, money, phones, uh, there's a variety of things have, we now are not where we were when I was a child. We really do have a global community, almost an instant global community. Google, money, phones, and oddly enough, Google is YouTube, right? And Facebook is up there too. So we have our global community, but it is incoherent. And the reason that I say that it's incoherent is because we are not, as a community, preparing for climate change. Okay? This is really important because no matter what your political or religious beliefs, you would at least be preparing for climate change if more or less, 90, people say it's 99% of the climate scientists say that climate change is what's going on. But even if it was only 51% of the scientists, if you were going to prepare for anything, I suppose you would prepare for climate change. Um, this would affect everything. It would affect what you taught your kids, et cetera, so on and so forth. So what I'm really looking for with what I'm building is, we could say I'm looking for coherent community, and I'm looking for decent tech help. Okay, decent tech help. And this is kind of like a goal for everyone from now on, right? We're at this place now where the United States is. I posted something, or I'm trying to, on Facebook right now, where the point of departure is simple wire fraud, right? For the RNC. So the RNC and wire fraud are now like a big, so it's that decent. What do you call it? Decent's not the word. It's that basic RNC wire fraud regarding two things. Mostly the supposed stolen election and Trump's re-election, and then this thing with the insurrection. Okay, so this is a big deal because wire fraud is more or less part of the global, infrastructure for what's making us global in the first place. So wire fraud's a big deal. So we have, what I'm trying to establish is coherent community and decent tech help. With part of that is my Matrix Code YouTube channel, right? Which is called Augmiworld. Now, yesterday I started this page, and I'll copy pieces off of this. But okay, so one of the things that I find interesting, maybe I'll have to do another piece of paper for this. I'll just run through this checklist, really. I've got to keep things chapter by chapter, paragraph by paragraph. I'm building what amounts to a technical document, and if anyone knows anything about technical writing, I understand it, but if you watch these videos so far, I'm certainly not. Oops. The word is document, damn it. Okay. Technical document. Okay. The internet is a technical document, in my opinion. Okay, so what we have now is we have an education crisis. And this is why I believe Matrix Code stuff is so cool. In the next video, we'll kind of cover that. The education crisis kind of came to the forefront in terms of, let's say there's such a thing as intelligent parents, okay? And Greta, with her climate change thing, was kind of like an example of how kids affect their parents, right? And Greta's parents actually listened to Greta and went, oh, you know what? She's right about the climate, and then they kind of changed their lives and kind of adapted to her point of view. That was actually kind of what happened with civil rights and the Vietnam War back in the 60s. Something like that sort of has to happen globally for preparing for climate change now. But what we have with intelligent parents is we have an education crisis. And we can use the insanity of the Republican Party here in the United States as a very good example, because you have the COVID. We can do it on this checklist. COVID was not a big deal. You just wear a mask, you get a vaccine, you sit it out, you just act rational. The Republicans just went goofy over the whole thing. A whole bunch of people went goofy over COVID. Well, and then history. We'll be real basic about the history of the United States is the history of racism. It's that simple. You didn't go from 13 colonies to 50 states without the racism issue, and especially in the west of the Mississippi situation. So, history and the Republicans again, or history and a bunch of people. Fraud, we just covered that, and then the issue of guns, which are beginning to have a direct relationship with education because of the school shootings, which again, nobody seems to, we'll just say the RNC is insane, and so we have a sanity issue. And this wire fraud thing is like a real clear point of departure for that. So if we have this craziness and you're trying to have kids that get educated, especially with recurring viruses, you're in a situation of what could be called intelligent, context-driven mentoring. In fact, I'll just put that checklist. What happened well, we also have the issue of new information. So it's not just the old information, it's the new information. And so what has happened is, and we can cross this out, is that we've come to what could be called a Zoom standard of education for intelligent parents. At any time in your child's education, you have to be ready to put into action the Zoom standard and kind of the homeschooling standard of educating your kids. Okay, this is where my Matrix Code coloring page approach comes in. So these are coloring pages. These are Matrix codes that I'm using for coloring pages that I'm going to be showing in my videos. So we're going to have some how to draw videos, and we're going to have some coloring pages, but what they'll share in common is the Matrix Code approach to taking you to background information. We'll put this one right next to this piece of paper I'm working on now. That will take you to the Wikipedia article on QR. Okay, the Zoom standard of education creates what could be called an interactive relationship, which we'll put this here, between students, teachers, parents, and all kinds of other people. And remember that the climate situation, which is going to lead to many refugees, and we can put here the Martian ambition situation, which is going to lead to solar system development almost too fast, all share in common the fact that you have a large screen television, a e-reader, a phone, this is the current standard, and perhaps a PC to the side over here. It's a major part of what you're doing for education, what we call this education or communication. And the matrix code is wonderful for this sort of thing. I really believe that e-readers, mobile devices, PCs, and large screen televisions are not going to shrink down to one device, as some people seem to believe that they're going to, but are going to really actually manifest what could be called a device relationship situation. And the matrix codes are integral to that. The matrix code can be on this part, it can be read by this part, send information to this part, be part of a database over here. And because these basically because this delivers information, can create an address in a network, can basically, how would we put it? Find an address in a network. It's very versatile. And now at 30 frames, we could say 300 frames per second, which isn't what you can see, but it certainly adds a dimension to the accumulation of various pieces of communication. Okay, so hopefully that was coherent. And we're back to this issue of coherent community and decent tech help and our matrix code test. So there we are with a short video, hopefully short enough. And we need that to kind of cover the basis for the next video. Thank you very much. And as always, I hope you watch the other videos. Yay!